Okay, Israel, we are on.
Awesome.
Hello, Israel.
Israel Ogunsola. And
His probably his mic is off and he's
can you hear
talking.
me?
He doesn't know. Oh yes.
Internet is fluctuating here. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we hear you.
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. And welcome to the Real Voice Forum Virtual Meetup 21.0. The virtual meetup has started, let me say, since the beginning of 2024. Around February, we started the virtual meetup whereby we meet, we discuss about issues regarding men and boys, especially on personal development, spiritual matters, finances, relationships, and so on.
Yeah.
So from 2024, we have been on this virtual meetup whereby we come once in a month, and then we have our speaker talk to us, and we get inside into different things. And this session for this month is kind of highly strategic and timely. It says the understanding. It says understand our self-identity and the values and the life direction and life direction. Many questions have been asked many times whereby, oh, why do I go about this? How do I go about that? So it's an opportunity for us, especially we young men like me and the others that are here also, that we can benefit and take a stream out from our guys, our mentors that are here to put us through, because they are also been there before. They are also asked those questions before that. Wow, how will I go about this? Especially in their 20s. Like, oh, am I not feeling like this? Am I not doing it? So it's an opportunity for us. And if you are here, can't it a blessing? Can't it a blessing? There will be insight. There will be wisdom will be dished out today. So I want us to be expectant. And at the end of our mind, I also put that the Lord should show us what to do. You know, it's important that we gain insight, and it's also we also know what God also wants us to work on. So let us be expectant. And okay.
Yes.
Let me, at this point, I think I will like to introduce our speaker. Oh, sorry. So at this point, I would like to introduce our speaker, and who will be taking us into the topic, into the session. In person of the Mr. Tokunbo Akintola. Mr. Tokunbo Akintola. Let me make my confession here. I'm a secret follower of his content on Facebook a year ago. So I do follow up with those content, and that's always really been a blessing. So I do tap into it. Yeah, so he's an entrepreneur, a business professional, and the founder of Catalyst, a digital services then specializing in website and app development, business writing, ghostwriting, AI workflow automation, branding, printing, digital strategy, and the FMA route to market solution. He is a motivated expert with over 20 years of multinational and entrepreneurial experience, serving as a business writer, ghostwriter, web designer, product manager, and a digital strategist. Active across platforms like Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. If you have not been okay, for most of us, this is our first time knowing me, and I would like us to follow him across those social media platforms. Yeah, by the end of today's session, I want us to follow him across those social media platforms. And can we please make welcome Mr. Tokunbo Akintola, one of our RBF mentors, and he will be speaking on self-identity, core value.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes.
And then can I say our reactions?
Okay.
Sir,
where's my own hand?
Welcome, sir.
I can't even find what. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Me, I can't find my own hand, so I can't react, but I got
We're
all that.
clapping for you,
Thank
so
you
you don't have to worry.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to clap for everybody else. All right. All right. Okay. Israel. Okay. Can I start now?
Yes, sir. You can start, sir.
Okay. First of all, I really appreciate this. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted when people ask me to come share my experience, share a thought, and I don't take it for granted. So whether it's just 10 people, whether it's 5 people, whether it's one person, whether it's 200 people, whether it's 1,000 people, I do not take it for granted because it means that people see something in you that you are probably not saying it yourself or you are taking for granted. But they are saying that this person could be a blessing. Let me use our church lingo, could be of blessing to us or to other people. So when I get called like that, I do not take it for granted, no matter who the call is coming from. Say that okay, they must have seen something. I usually I see it as a feedback to that. Where are you sure you are fully aware of your capabilities? Are you sure you are fulfilling potential like this? That you are just there and people are saying that you can be of blessing to them. So I usually see it as feedback. So when people call me and say, come and talk, like I say, okay, that means God is still mindful of me. Because when God is mindful of you, one of the things that He opens doors, He opens opportunities for you. And He's not mindful of us for ourselves, but because He's using us for Himself. We're created for Him. So we are not the one using, He's the one using us. So whatever, I was like, okay, we are still, there's still an opportunity for us to align with God and fulfill purpose. So thank you very much. The introduction has been made. So I mean, what do we mean about understanding self-identity, values, and life direction? When I was preparing for this, I was like, okay, where do I start from? Because first of all, men, we are deep. Scientists, psychologists, and even academics say that, oh, men are simple. They just want this, they want that, they want that. But it's beyond that. Beyond that simplicity is a certain depth. Is a certain depth that makes us very much understood and misunderstood among our fairer gender women. Makes us very much misunderstood because it may look like on the surface we are just ABC 1, 2, 3, but we come packed with so much in that simplicity that wows a lot of women and for some creates misunderstanding. So as I was thinking, I was like, it looks simple, understanding self-identity. Self-identity now, identify, who are you? What are you? How aware of yourself are you? Values and life direction. But it's deeper than that. And considering the fact, was it provoking? I was really so yeah. So while I was preparing, I just thought of it like, who's who is going to be the example that I can draw out from that will resonate with everyone, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're atheist, whether you're a traditionalist. I said, whose best example, whose story will everybody at least to an extent agree to? There's no other person than the very first man in the person of Adam. So there was a time, like some weeks back, I was really reading about Adam. I was like, let me, anyway, it wasn't really about it because I said, okay, let me read the Bible from cover to cover again, which by God's grace I've done a couple of times in my life. Uh, uh, but that doesn't translate to anything. God is not concerned about that. God is concerned about how much of His word you apply to your life, not how much you know. But yeah, by God's grace, I've been able to. I said, let me start. And I began to see, in the context of being a married man and being a husband and father, I began to see this being a husband, father, and then someone in business. I began to see the story of Adam in a different context. The last time I really first time I read the Bible cover to cover, starting from Adam, and apart from that, all through many years before I became a father, before I became husband first, before father. So I'll list it according to order of priority. You are a husband first, because the most important relationship is the one between husband and wife, not the parents, not the parental relationship. So I mean that could be for someone here. So there's nothing like I'm here for my children, just for my no. Your wife or your husband comes first because Adam and Eve came first before Cain and Abel. So yeah, that aside. So before I became a husband, before I became a husband, parent, and then business, I just read, oh, Adam, the fact that he ate the fruit. When we're teenagers, we just see it from that. But now, God becomes deeper, and he becomes more meaningful to you the more you commit to life. So the more you commit to life, you now begin to those things now begin to resonate. You now begin to these were truly men of like passion. These were truly men. So because you now begin to see it as a you now begin to see it as because it now resonates with you. Those stories resonate with you, just like the story of Abraham really resonated with me. The story of Isaac, the story of Jacob. These people were really ordinary people, but they did on extraordinary things. Now you now begin to ask yourself that what did they do differently that made their name resonate even up to this present age? So I just said, okay, in preparing for this, let's just go to let me go back to Adam, the man who started it all, and the man who, as we like to say, put us into all this mess. So that's it. But I to just to cut Adam some slack, he didn't know any better. He didn't have any point of reference on how to be a good husband or how to be a good dad. He had no point of reference, When he was listening to his wife, he thought it was the right thing to do. So yeah, I like to cut him some slack. But away from that, I now realized that this Adam. So I was now reading Genesis 2. I mean, no matter your faith, everybody agrees that there was a man that started, whether it's Adam or whether you call him Adam or Adamu, we all agree on Adam. And so I can use the story. So, so I now began Genesis 2, verse 15 to, I'll read to maybe 23 or thereabout. So 2:15. So then the Lord took the man and placed him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and keep it. As you can see. So they took the man. That's after forming and things like that. They now took him and Garden of Eden. So from the beginning, the idea was work. God created him. And you can see that earlier, it had said that there was no man to till the ground. He hadn't created Adam there. So even the idea of creation, even when God said, let us, when God said, let there be, but before God said, let there be light, the idea was that there's going to be purpose, there's going to be a reason, everything I'm going to create from henceforth, including man, the woman, and the birds of the air and the beasts of the field, is going to serve a purpose for me. So purpose existed before anything that ever breathed, that ever breathed, that ever drawn, whether you living or non-living things, there was purpose. So, and then, so yeah, 15. Then the Lord took the man and placed it in the garden of it to cultivate and keep it. So that was from the beginning. This was even before wife. And the Lord commanded him, you may eat freely from every tree of the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For in the day that you eat it, you will surely die. After purpose came instruction. What are we talking about? We're talking about understanding self-identity, values, and life direction. So after purpose came instruction. Then after that, then the Lord God said in verse 18, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make for him a suitable helper. Can everybody hear me, please? Israel, just say yes, I can hear you. Okay, good. All right. So because I'm only hearing myself. All right. So the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make for him a suitable helper. You know, for many years, I just glossed over that aspect. I just glossed over it without taking note of the sequence. After God now said this, after God now said, it is not good for man to be alone, I will make for him a suitable helper. That was where God now created the animals and the birds of the air. Then verse 19 now said, out of the ground, the Lord had God formed every beast of the field, every bird of the air, and he brought them to the man to see what he will name each one. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was his name. Then the man gave, verse 20, the man gave names to all the livestock, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. And I said, but for Adam, no suitable helper was found. So which means that when God saw that, it's not good for a man to be alone. I've given him purpose. I have given him instruction. But now he is alone and it is not good. Then what God now did, God now created work for him. This is what God did. When he now created all the animals, he now brought them to him to name. Then as Adam was naming them, he now realized that the lion came. Beside the lion, there was a lioness. Tiger came. Beside tiger had tigress. The bull came. Beside the bull, there was a cow. Snake came. No snake. As no snake was coming, the female snake was following. That's why now occurred to Adam that I am the only one here that does not have a mate. That's actually what that verse means. He said, the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. That's why you now notice that, come on, all these things that God created, I'm the only one without a mate. Aha. Then God now said, yes, he has gotten it now. Because it has to enter you first. God cannot do anything that has not entered you. Right? You have to first see it. It has now entered into your consciousness. Create an unsettling in your spirit. Then you now come to and ask that God, something is not right here. Then you will now say, this is actually what is missing, and I'll provide it. So it was only after that God now caused him to fall into a deep sleep. And while he slept, he took one of the ribs, and from the rib, the Lord had taken from the man. He made the woman and brought her to him. And the man said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for out of man she was taken. So bone of my bone, that structure. Flesh of my flesh. That's my, my covering, Then out of the man she was taken, which means that alliance, which, as I digress, the Bible did not say he who finds a woman finds a good thing. It said he who finds a wife. It's not just about finding his wife. You have to find someone who is your bone of your bone and flesh of flesh, called woman, and out of man she was taken. So we can see in talking about self-identity, purpose, and things like that, you can see the sequence. That purpose precedes, for a man, for we male humans, the most important thing for us is purpose. Because it is in finding purpose that will now inform us of the kind of woman we'll take as wife. So the most important thing for a man is not getting a wife first. It is not your sexual needs. It is not even whether you are lonely or not. Because Adam was not lonely. God did not say it's not good for man to be lonely. He said it's not good for man to be alone. Alone doing what? That's alone about the purpose. Because God was fellowship with Adam. Adam was not lonely. Adam was doing fine. In fact, it was until when he saw lion and lioness, tiger and tigress, bull and cow, that now said that I am the only one. This is not right. Something is off. There's an imbalance here in the ecosystem. So me too, I have to. So I'm the only one. So I've seen that this is God's order of creation, that every living thing must have its mate. Aha. You understand? But you can see that the first thing was purpose. Why? God placed man in the garden to till it. That's purpose. Then he now gave him instruction because purpose determines instruction. Then it was now in the process of giving him instruction, he now gave him an assignment. In the process of fulfilling the assignment, he now saw that he had a need for a wife. Then he now had a wife. So that is the sequence. So which means that the first thing is to find your self-identity as a man, which will inform your values, both of which will now chart the course of your life. You know, this is very deep, because one of the reasons why there's so much dereliction, why you find men in crime, find men in substance abuse, is because they put the cart before the horse. It's also why you find men in terrible marriages, find men in divorce, because a lot of men too ended up now finding purpose, but they had already married the wrong person who was not the bone of their bone, the flesh of their flesh. Now, because they lack the wisdom, they forgot to understand that Adam named his wife. Adam could have said, God, I don't want this woman that you have brought to me. And God will have to put him to sleep and create another woman. So whoever you name, in the eyes of God, whether you think is wrong, but the fact that you have exchanged vow with that person is your wife. It is now God that will now give you the wisdom to grow into it, to carry that responsibility, and then he will now make you even a better person with that. But I digress. I don't know who that is for. I just felt like digressing. So there's nothing like wrong. If you think you married wrong, there's grace. The only thing is if the person says, I don't want to, I'm no longer interested. If the woman says, I'm no longer interested, then like Paul said, he said, you are now free because peace is paramount. The person can now go. But if the person says, I want to stay with you, then there's something in it that will develop you that is tied to your destiny. So I don't know who that is for, because there's a lot of there's warfare about marriage now, and a lot of people don't know this important information. So Adam named Eve. Adam didn't know. Adam didn't know whether Eve snores. Adam didn't know whether Eve will be disrespectful. He didn't know. He just saw her, said, God has given me this one, I name her. And that was it. So yeah. So anyway, so purpose came first, instruction. Then when instruction, in the process of carrying the instruction and the assignment, Adam found that he had a need. So that's self-identity. So like I was saying before, a lot of men go into all sorts because they put the cart before the horse. They didn't find themselves. That self-identity wasn't there. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. See, that thing that those three men, they already told King Nebuchadnezzar, they said, we don't even need to be careful in answering you. Our God will deliver us. You can't do that thing with ordinary eye. You can't just say, it's not by, I'm using strong phrases. No. Those men they have known that we're in the kingdom for such a time as this is our time. We and Daniel cannot die. They knew it. They had seen it. That will see, as men, it's very important that we have strong self-identity. You have to know purpose. You have to have purpose. Otherwise, first of all, Satan will just use you anyhow. He will fear, he will manipulate you, and you will be rudderless. Rudderless is like a ship that is just going. There's nobody at the rudder. It's just blown about by every trial, every wind of doctrine, blown about, because you have not found. You don't have a self-identity. If you go to if you go to the streets there where men are doing all sorts, you see that if you really look at it, it's because they've not found themselves. They don't know why. They don't know why they were created. And that's why they don't have values, because it's not their how can I say it? their thought pattern and views about life are not hinged on any. They are not hinged on purpose that they discovered. So as a result, they don't have direction. So you can see that sequence in the case of Adam. You know, another story that came to mind while I was talking is that of you know, we all know the story of Peter well. You know, when Peter wrote in his book, in his letter, and maybe it's the first letter or second letter, when he said, I have seen that the Lord is about to lay aside my body. That was essentially saying that I'll soon die. And I thought of it, that now he had known, he has said everything, he had fulfilled everything Jesus said he will fulfill. Because Jesus told him that thou art Peter, on this revelation, blah, 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 I'll place and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. He now said that, but when you are converted, strengthen the brethren. That was why in the book of Acts, when Peter was arrested and they were ready to kill them, he knew that he couldn't die because his ministry was just starting. He hadn't strengthened the brethren according to Jesus' prophecy. So that's how he knew that this one, they can't do anything to us. And you understand what I'm saying? Again, purpose. So Jesus had already told him. And that's why John knew too that he couldn't die by persecution, because Jesus mentioned it. That he told his disciple that if I don't want it to die by persecution, how is that your business? So he knew that they can crucify Peter upside down, they can spear Andrew to death in India, they can drag Bartholomew with a horse until he dies, but me, I'm going to die peacefully. John already knew. Again, purpose. The others too knew that they were going to die anyhow. So that's why they could preach, because they said that all die and I die. So I'm just trying to say that their confidence was not just based on uninformed bravado. From the beginning, they knew how long they were going to live. They already knew how they were going to die. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, from a generalistic point of view, one can see that yes, these people, they already had a self-identity from the beginning, and of course, which informed their values, and they had life direction as a result of that. So now, as men generally, whether you're a believer or not, I was in a meeting with a Nollywood. In fact, let me just mention, I was in a meeting with Funke Akindele yesterday. You know, she needs us to write something. Wait, first of all, now okay, fine. She's not a man, but the principles are the same. She's in business. She has men. It was one of our staff, a male, that connected me. That so this the principles are the same. So as I was talking to her, I said, so I just cast my mind back. I said that this lady has been consistent with this her film thing. As she was talking to me, I was just thinking about it. First of all, a very humble lady. When she came, she was even apologizing. Oh, I'm late, and stuff like that. Yeah. It was when I left and I realized that was Funke Akindele I had a meeting with. So yeah, so you know, I don't realize that this woman has been consistent. Like only one thing. She hasn't done anything. She didn't delve into anything. All the companies she registered, from the conversation I say, were still around entertainment, one way or the other. It's still the same ecosystem. So you can see that this is someone that from the beginning knew, and this is someone that has been acting since she was a teenager. She used to be I Need to Know. Most people are like in my age bracket will know when she was still in one soap opera like that. I mean, then when television was actually educative. So she used to be one I Need to Know, which you should teach, which was really targeted to teenagers and stuff like that, targeted to teenagers on how to behave, you know, like sexual education and stuff like that. So that's where she started, and she has been consistent. So when I saw her, I just like, this woman does not have another life. I don't think if you were to take and say that remove her from the movie industry, she will be depressed. I don't. She has no other life, and you can see that she's enjoying herself, even in the challenges. You know, she shares some challenges briefly, but you can see that she's even enjoying the challenges. It's like, or Takmo, like she was like saying that I have a lot of enemies in the industry, because she's successful. It was like, but you can see that she was saying it with joy that it doesn't matter that this by the time we finish this proposal you write for me, I'll penetrate, I'll do this. Why? It takes having self-identity to have that kind of courage in the face of adversity. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Which is something a lot of young, especially I don't know, a lot of young men, because men age like fine wine, like they said. I think there's a reason they say life begins at 40. I think is hinged on how men age. Men really like take their time to develop. But when I say a lot of things like young men say that, oh, I'm depressed, I want to kill myself, I didn't get a job, and I'm like, when did it become like a fad, like a fashionable thing to say that, like you can't, but it still boils down to that lack of understanding that you first have to even discover yourself. Like, who am I? And how do you discover yourself? Number one is first understand. It's simple, but again, it's not simple. And it's simple in the sense that this is actually 1, 2, 3 ABC. But it's not simple in the sense that a lot of people have been taught wrongly, maybe traditional preconditioning, to make it look like this thing is hard. But let me tell you, I'll go back again to the Bible. Everyone that God used in the Bible and said, and an angel, I've appeared to them and said that you are the one we have chosen for this assignment to buy. Because if God comes to meet you, you don't have a choice. He didn't create us here to come and God didn't create us here to come and eat, drink, marry, and sleep. Let's just know that. So if God says, if God impresses in your heart, well, it's not as dramatic as it used to be. Now it's just like it will just impress it in your heart, and he will constrain your life that you just know that this is the only way out. You can fight it for 30, 40 years like Moses, but you just know that this is the only way, or this way that I'm avoiding is the only way. So, but when God shows up like that and say, it's you that we are sending to deliver Israel, you don't have a choice. It's actually the difference between heaven and hell. Is the literal difference. So there are two ways. But hey, back to what I was saying. Each time God came to me, then he always asked them one thing. He said, what do you have in your hand? We have Moses. That's what you have. He said, the shepherd's rod. He said, yeah, you're a shepherd. Yeah, so that's the rod you use to do all these things, all these miracles that would compel Pharaoh to make you leave. And what did God first do? After he left him, he first pushed him out of the palace to separate him first. To separate him from royalty and convenience. He grew up in the palace. He was a prince. He was an adoptive prince. So he had everything. Everything was on a platter. Women, food, the best education, the best military education, which was, by the way, how he was able to teach Joshua. And Israel was formidable. Again, I need men to understand this, especially those of us that are believers. Spirituality is not enough. And let me tell you, spirituality is to guide you into actual competence. So that when a Muslim sees you, the Muslim in your office, say that, or the Buddhist in your office, say that it's true. This one is 10 times better than us. You understand what I'm saying? So you can see that all of this thing of Moses led him to be a very good, not only a very good writer, because God was going to use him to write the Pentateuch and the book of Job. You can see that Moses was an excellent writer. So he had to have the best education. I mean, what other education could be higher than the one that the Prince of Egypt will have when Egypt was the #1 kingdom in the world? Then, of course, apparently for being a prince, you have the best military education. So all the victories of Israel were not just, see, let me tell you guys, I don't know why I'm digressing, because there's a lot, because I'm very active on Christian Facebook, and I see a lot of misconceptions and a lot of teachings that by God's grace that God too is now delivering me from, because we all encounter those teachings at some point. There's false humility, and men need to understand this. There's humility and there's false humility, and the latter is actually demonic. Where you think that, oh, I don't need to be excellent. I mean, I mean, thank God for the convener of this WhatsApp group. I mean, if you read, I've been fortunate to see Professor Jason your CV. It's not, you will just know that this is the person that puts in the work, to say the least, and is a believer. So yeah. So all of that experience led Moses to become a 40-year-old, which was at the age of 40 that he got the first signal, but he executed it the wrong way. He got the first signal. He was just strolling and he now saw an Egyptian oppressing an Israel, and then that thing came to him. The Israel in him came out, and then he murdered the person. And God said that this one is not ready. This one does not know how to interpret signals. God now sent him 40 years, first detached him. And this is another thing I want to tell men in finding yourself, self-identity, is that God will first separate you from your house. He'll separate you from your parents. It is not house or parents. He'll separate you from your familiar comfort. Show me one man in the Bible of our father of faith that did not experience the value of death. Show me one, because that's the value of death. Death in scripture actually means separation. That's the original meaning. When you say death, the fear of death, who throughout their life delivered them from the fear of death. That's the fear of separation. That how will I live if I don't have a job? How will I live? My daddy sends me out of the house. How will I? God, as a man, and this is for men especially, because a lot, whether we like it or not, there's no equality. God does not. When Eve ate the fruit, it was when I ate the fruit. Who did God first come and meet? Adam. What's her name? Sarah was to birth Isaac. She was the one with the problem, with the medical issue. She was the one, because we see that Abraham was already able to impregnate Hagar to bear Ishmael. So she was one with the medical issue. But who did God come to meet and say that you have a son? It was Abraham. So don't buy into all that. There's no such thing. God will hold the man. So whether it's in a family or anything, God will hold the man. When God first rebuked the man, and it was until the man too ate the fruit that their eyes were open. So that means that even if Eve had ate the fruit and Adam refused to eat it, nothing would have happened. So I'm just so that, and I'm saying this especially for we younger one, Gen Z, because there's so much there are so many demonic narratives out there that's trying to equate these things and trying to make it look like, and men, that's why I thank God for groups like this. Men need to rise up and take their place, starting from the family, because Satan is not interested in Aso Rock. He knows that if he can attack the family, he has taken over Aso Rock, he has taken over White House, because it all starts from the man and the woman and their children. And that's why there's so much attack on marriage. There's so much attack. You can't even scroll Facebook for 2 minutes that someone is not glamorizing divorce or glamorizing cohabiting, glamorizing single parenting, glamorizing having children out of wedlock, because that's really Satan's focus. If he knows that if he can scatter that place, every other thing, is it government? Is it military? He has taken over all those things. So yeah, where was I? I've drifted. So that self-identity thing is where so Moses. I was talking about Moses. So God, I was talking about separation. Every man will face that. Name the person, and often it's usually the stones that the builders rejected, the least favorites. Isaac preferred Esau. Isaac, being the patriarch, preferred Esau over Jacob, but Jacob took the blessing. Jason forgot that he even had a son. He left him. All of them were at home watching TV. They left the 9 or 11-year-old boy in the field with lions and this thing there. He was an afterthought. I have one outside. When someone go and call him David. But that's the person that carried the mantle. Who else? Most importantly, Abraham was emotionally attached. Abraham actually liked Ishmael before he loved Ishmael. He was praying for Ishmael that God, all this robo dion, they promise, time in law, give this thing to Ishmael now. That God now said, no, it is your seed, the one your seed gonna go. Do you understand what I'm saying? That the one that you will give birth to, that's between you and your wife, that's the one that will carry the mantle. So you can see that attachment there. That's why when Isaac came, God already told him that the sacrifice will be your seed. There's a because the seed that you lay, that you plant, that you surrender to me, will be Isaac. So Abraham already knew that at a point he's going to have to emotionally detach himself from Isaac, so he can offer him a sacrifice. That's why it is only in Hollywood, I can see that he was struggling, he was crying when God told him. In real life, he did not bat an eyelid because he had settled, he had separated. So even God had to detach Isaac from Abraham emotionally, and every man would go. I've not seen it. You can prove me wrong. You can go to scripture, all the creators of faith. That's why there was a separation. The one that the children, that the parent told him to leave the house. The one that the father forgot outside. Because that's where you discover yourself. What did he say? He said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He said that though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He was talking about separation, being alone with God. I will fear no evil because you are with me. Because you have to come to that point as a man. You have to come to that point because you are with me. He said that your rod and your staff, they comfort me. He said, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. You anoint my head with oil. Because when you experience that separation, that you will now find you now find purpose, because you're anointing your head with oil. That's you have not separated head. And you now begin to. When did God tell Abraham? He said, look up. He said, look up, see the stars. As far as you ask, that's how your generation will be. It was when he separated from Lot that God has said, hey, now look up. Because he loved Lot. He literally laid down his life for Lot. But at a point, they have to separate. He says, we have to go. Just like God now said, look up. So every man will face that. All of them, separation was their rite of passage. And let me tell you, this is how self-identity comes. So all this, like I said, especially starting from our youth, men have to really take. You need to come to that point. You find self-identity when it's just you alone and God, in that quiet, that all your safety nets have been removed. Even your father that loves you, I said that, whoa, I've tried. I've sent you to secondary school. You want to find a way. All those kind of things. Or circumstance, or just a situation in life. It doesn't have to be a hard job. It could just be a period, a momentary period in your life where nobody showed up for you. The hell. That's why most, if you interview all these billionaires and stuff like that, all these billionaire businessmen, it came at a point where they had to solve a problem, where it was a swim or sink situation. It's either they swam or they drowned. That's when those ideas came, where there was nobody. John D. Rockefeller, the father of crude oil, one of the most wealthiest people in history to date. Till today, his money is still working through its foundation. His money is still saving lives and educating children today. How did he what was the turning point for him? He was traveling to meet like a business person, and then his train derailed, and he survived without a scratch. That's why he knew that this business is where my life is screwed up. That's why he knew. So the story was he said when he was even going for the meeting, he was skeptical because being a young man and they were bigger, there were lions in the marketplace, they were bigger than he was strong. He was timid and all that, but while he was in that train, in the coach of that train, he was timid, he was praying and stuff like that. I hope this thing turns out well. How am I going to face this? What's coming? And then the train derailed. There was an accident, and he came out unscathed. The story said that he had that renewed confidence because at that point there was nobody. There was nobody with it. It was just him, his wife, whoever. There was no parent. It was just him. So he had that epiphany, that turning point happened at that moment. So I'm not saying that it has to be like 40 years or 20 years or wilderness, or it doesn't mean that your father has to hate you. They might not even have to kick you out of the house. But you come to that point in your life where it could just be your academics. Maybe you failed jam 2, 3, 4, 4, 5 times. You now realize that your father cannot help you. Your father wrote letter, nothing. His money did not help. Nobody. You pay nobody, nothing. You now say, aha, and then God now, you now have to like say that, where am I going from here? Every man has to come to that point. There's no man that finds themselves that does not come to that valley of shadow of death. Where it looks like there's a separation and stuff like that. So I'm just saying that, as men, we need to understand that that it comes to that, and we don't put the cart before the horse. Now that we're here to where there's a path that's been cut out for us, and until we self-identify, we identify ourselves, and we have a value system, because the world is the world by default is designed to derail you and beat you down. That's why, like I said, the first thing was that God gave Adam purpose, gave him instructions. Now it was even in the process of that Adam saw the need for a mate. So you can see that there's that, that's this thing. So like I was trying to say earlier, so everyone God used, God started with something they had. Moses, he said, what do you have here? You're a shepherd, right? You're a shepherd. You're going to shepherd 3 million people out of Egypt. You're a shepherd for 40 years, so you're going to shepherd this way. It's the same thing. Who else? Paul. Let's say Paul. Oh, you're a lawyer, you're a businessman, you can write well, you understand the law. So you are the one I will use to meet the Gentiles. You are the one I will use to convert the Gentiles who are more intellectual, more academic in nature, less esoteric. The Israelites were esoteric, the law, because they were conditioned in a theocracy. But now, Paul, you are vast, you are intellectual, you can combine both worlds. You belong to the strongest strength of the Pharisees, so you fulfill. You're a Jew through and through, but at the same time, you're also a lawyer. You understand laws, you understand systems, you know how to get your way around. You're a dual citizen. If you are caught, you know what to say to get yourself out of it, because you're going to be an apostle. I'm going to send you, they're going to be pursuing you, they're going to be using the law against you. So I need someone that can maneuver, I need someone that can, that can use law. I mean, look at when one soldier carried him, and the soldier was like carrying him. I was like, Oga, put me down. He said, are you not one of those people that wanted to start an insurrection? And I said, I'm a Roman citizen. So you're a Roman citizen because they were not supposed to arrest a Roman citizen. So God used, so one of the ways to find purpose is that God will use what you have already, the privileges you have, the talent you have, the skills you have. That will form your self-identity. That will be your self-identity. It will be something that you can do. I mean, the nearest example to us here is Professor Jesuyo, excellent, in high school. And then from there, you can see that God, he had that gift of academics. And that's what has led you to this project as an academic, winning a national scholarship and things like that. So, because I see, don't let me say I see, I'm still young and I know nothing. But one of the challenges a lot of us men have is that, what do I know? What do I have? Who do I know? No, you have something to start with. Because God requires a seed. God required a seed from Abraham to make him the father of nations, and that seed was Isaac. There's always something you have to start with. It could just be your love for writing. And then God will use that, and then he will expand it, because the Bible says he's able to do far above all we could ever ask or think. All he just needs is that seed from us to say that, okay, what's that ability? What's that skill you have? What's that thing you love to do? I was listening to Mike Murdoch many years ago, when he came to Canaan land. He came to Shiloh, I think year 2000, 2001. He said that, Mike Murdoch said, what annoys you? What's that problem in society that annoys you? It's probably not even, it could even be your immediate family. It could even be your classroom. It could be your workplace. What's that thing that annoys you? He said that's your clue to the problem you have been called to solve. And everybody has that. But then part of the problem of this self-identity issues is that we don't understand that everybody has their race. It's comparison. And the Bible says that by comparing themselves with themselves, they are not wise, because everybody has their race. And there are levels of gifts, there are levels of ability. Even among the same people that can do the same thing or have the same nature, there are still levels of ability. So how do you find self-identity? Number one is that, what do I love doing? What annoys me? What problem in society that it looks like I'm the only one seeing it? You know, a doctor will notice if you are breathing too heavily, but your friends did not. A tailor will notice a misaligned button on your shirt. You know, the barber would notice that your friction is not balanced, is not aligned. A dentist is looking at your teeth while you're talking and notice that you should have. I remember this is a very interesting one. I was talking to this dentist. She said that, I took my daughter for consultation because long before we eventually got braces for her. That is expensive. So I took her, and then so while we're talking, she now said that she was looking at me, that even you too, you almost needed braces. I can see. And I said, how do you know? She said, she now laughed at, are you insulting me? I'm a dentist, like she gave that. But what did you know that when I was young, and that's when it also occurred to me that when I was young, I used to use pacifier. This thing they put that children will be sucking on. So that thing, in a way, slightly misaligned my dentition. But it's so how can I say, it's so negligible that it will take a dentist to notice it. So what are those things you notice around you? What are those things you notice? It could be your family, it could be anywhere, but it's going to be in your immediate environment. What's that thing that interests? What's that thing you do naturally? It's a clue to what would define your self-identity. Oh, before I started writing, I remember I used to read, I used to just read cartoons. I read cartoons a lot, like comic books and stuff like that. And then I didn't know, it's only, life is understood the hindsight. And I realized that all those things were the things that shaped my vocabulary. Then I now really, really, really started writing from like GS3. That's when I started saying, okay, this writing thing. But before then, I just used to read everything. Tell magazine, Punch. Then I don't know whether I don't know. There wasn't Punch then, but there was Tell magazine, like newspaper. For a very young age, I knew Nigerian politics, doing Babacha, Babangida. I used to read Tell magazine. I would read magazine. Imagine a 10 line. But I didn't know that God was preparing me. It's later than I realized that which child will be interested in reading about Babangida or Abacha? It's strange. Why will a 9-year-old be interested? I didn't know that God was using all that. So what are those things? You look at your child. Like I look at my 2 daughters now. Before I say that, you must be this thing. Although I've told them the truth. I said that in this life, the way the world, and this probably for some of you guys out there, some of the men listening to me, if a child is going to go to a university, let them go and study something meaningful. Every other thing, but the way the world is now, you can learn everything outside the 4 walls of university. But the 4 years, 4, 5, 6 years you spend in university, study something meaningful. So our parents were not really wrong. It's as you grow older that you appreciate your parents more. They were not wrong when they said that is that could be engineer, could be doctor, could be lawyer, could be accountant. They were not really. Oh, of course, the other ones, no, architects and things like that. But I realized that they were not really wrong. So, yeah. So I mean, and then I was telling my daughters, I was like, no, you know what? You can't go and do ballet. Just ballet. Well, in your school, better join maybe debating society or join robotics and things like that. And then also now you can be dancing ballet on YouTube. You can be, but if you're in school, go for the real thing. So that's also something to tell us young men, right? Don't live in a fool's paradise. Go for something bankable. I have a cousin who is who was what was actually what I observed that made me make that strong decision and told my daughters. I just realized that his first daughter, accountant, as that one was finishing from Covenant like this, KPMG was carrying her from convocation ground. As she was finishing from Covenant, because she came out first class, KPMG carried her like that. After 1 year, they threw her to UK. The second daughter, doctor. And I realized that this my cousin is actually an HR person. And I realized that it must have been an informed decision. He must have seen the pattern in his profession as an HR person that these are the career paths that, especially maybe for a woman, for a lady. You understand what I'm saying? But I digress. Again, another lesson for us men: don't live in fool's paradise. You know. So yeah. So what are those things that I created? So like my own daughter, I had to tell her. I said, look, you know what? School is not supposed to be easy. So in school, do the hard stuff. Then all these other things you want to do. I want to play violin. I said, yeah, I also play the guitar. But I have a friend who is an engineer. He's far richer than me today. I said that he studied civil engineering. Me, I went to study mass comm. I'm not beating everybody studying mass comm there. I'm just saying that you should know how life works. You can see that the difference. There's a pile up there. You can see that because this thing compounds. The guy is doing well. He was a big farm. He's doing well. Yeah. Last time he came, he brought it. The truck they gave him 15 million. New chassis. I've never seen that kind of Hilux before. The AC, the thing was shivering. So like I was in Tohoku in January. So so I'm just saying that. So I was telling my daughter, I said, look at this, my friend, though. This is your friend's father. And then this is your friend's father. So you can see the difference. He studied civil engineering. Me, I went to study mass comm. I said, I love my job. I love writing. I love communication. But I can see the difference. But yeah, happiness is not only defined by finance. I'm content. I'm very happy. I'm confident in my decision. God has been good to me. But I'm just saying that. So another thing for us men, learn from that. That there's so much on our table. Our responsibility is so grave that we cannot afford to live in fool's paradise. Mike Adenuga's passion was selling electronics. Imagine he had just said, "Oh, it's my passion. I just love selling. I love fixing car stereos. I mean, how many people use car stereos now? You understand what I'm saying? But it was because I was selling electronics that maybe someone must have advised me, use your contacts to apply for all these government opportunities as a contractor. And that's where he is today. But now where he is now, he can now decide and say that he wants to be manufacturing car electronics for cars. Now he has the power, he has the wherewithal, he has the time, he has the luxury of pursuing passion. This is very important for us men. The truth is that women have the luxury. Let's tell ourselves, women have the luxury to do whatever they want. It's not so for the man. Let me tell you. In life, it's easier to be a woman than to be a man. We're still talking about self-identity, values, and life direction. And now, we're now on life. It's easier to be a woman. It's actually easier to be a woman than to be a man. I was telling I have two younger sisters and a younger brother. Then I have an older brother. So I'm a middle child. So I'm always like in between. I'm always the diplomatic one. Like I'm always the one that is peace, and stuff like that. Yeah. But I was telling my younger brother, I said, look, the reason I'm like, it seems that I'm nicer to you, that I'm always like trying to teach you, trying to mentor you, is that look, this is our other younger sister. Actually, like that, she can just from her couch watching Z World. One senator will just come and carry her, and that and our life is made. But for you and I, as male siblings, it's different. So that's why, and that's why even if you look at the Bible, God is harder on men. Even life is harder on men. You know, so that's why you need to have that self-identity, have strong values, and know where your life is going. Why was I created? If it takes you, and for us believers, we have the cheat sheets, we have the expo, we have a God we can go and talk to, because God did not create us for us. He didn't create us to come and marry. He didn't create us to do one day. He didn't create us to come and eat or go to the beach. He created us for a reason, and we must find that reason. We must. It is a must, guys. I'm not going to spare you on this one. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We must find it. Whether it takes you 80 years like Moses, or it takes you, well, we can't say Jesus found himself, because all of history was telling about him. So we can't use Jesus as an example. But yeah, by 30, in 3 years, it was done. Because when you find it, you now realize that so this you don't need to be 50 years. Some of we young people that are that follow like the young pastors now, Have you noticed that a lot of the young pastors in their 30s, a lot of the young ministers in their 30s, 40s now, we didn't know them 5 years ago. We didn't know them. Is it Iran? Is it Apostle Emmanuel Iran? Is it Apostle Femi Lazarus? Is it Apostle Selman? And look at how, because once you key into it, your age will not matter. Does Moses' age? It's only you and I that talk about Moses' age. Probably all believers don't even know that he started at 80. You understand what I'm saying? Your age will not matter. So however long it takes you, find purpose. And then you see that, bam, 5 years, we didn't know most of these people that are attending WorkDeck now. We didn't know most of them. 5, 6, 7 years. Yes, COVID threw up many new faces. They just bam like that. So if some of them show, they share their throwback photos. You see that? So you know that 2019, as at 2019, this guy was still struggling and still praying for 100 members, 120 members. Like Apostle Emmanuel said, he said he was praying for, you know. So COVID was that, bam. COVID was that, you know, and coming to COVID too, and how as men we must use world events. See, let me tell you, there's a reason a prophet will say that in the year of King XXS, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day, and God. There's a reason. You know that even prophets were using the reign of kings and life events to time their prophecies. Because let me tell you, God, yeah. So, you know, because let me tell you, God will, God reigns in the affairs of men. I don't care whether it's Tinubu that is in power or is God reigns in the affairs of men, and everything is intertwined. Everything is intertwined. Everything is intertwined because the Bible says in him all things consist. Everything is intertwined. We also need to understand that as men, especially those of us that are like believers and stuff like that, that everything is intertwined. I mean, Professor Jesuyo, for example, is a believer, but he was honored by a secular. In fact, the country that everyone honored is not even a Christian country like that. You understand what I'm saying? God is. So don't just limit yourself and say that it's just me. If you cannot speak in tongues, I cannot do business with you. You will suffer in this life because you know, if imagine Daniel had that kind of mentality. It's also another thing for, and now I'm speaking to believing men now. You need to understand that God is vast. Daniel knew that I was born to work for Nebuchadnezzar. If Daniel was not in that place, Israel would have been annihilated. If Daniel was not in the kingdom, if Esther was not in the kingdom, in a pagan kingdom, Israel would have been annihilated. So again, purpose. So we live in a system where God ultimately rules, and He has apportioned our, He has apportioned our own plots in the overall. So you need to find where your own plot is. The lines are falling to me in pleasant places. I have a goodly heritage. You need to find where your God in all these things that is going on. Where is my place? And that's why a lot of things happened, seasons. That's why I said that the people of this world, they seem to be wiser than children of the light because they understand seasons. Bam. Jeff Bezos became the richest man. You just saw that because people started ordering on Amazon, just like that, and then products started coming. Then remote work. One person must have just thought of it that wait, I could be here, and people in Nigeria, I could be in the UK, and people in Nigeria will be working for me. And then it birthed apps like Zoom, birthed all these work management tools like Slack and things like that. And then people are now sitting in their home. And you understand what I'm saying? So you need to know that in the scheme of things, where's my AI is coming, or AI is here now. In the scheme of things, where's my place in what's this conversation? Because everything boils down to purpose, and God has seen all these things that will happen. And God, where's my place? In fact, we're currently in a fast match, and the normal prayer is, God, what's your will for my life? If a man does not know the will for his life, he can end up anywhere that if they are told him at the beginning that you will end up like this, he would have said, God forbid. So a man's number one, this thing is purpose. You can see number one, like we cited the case of Adam. So yeah, so guys, I just said I should encourage us, and then so please find yourself, find purpose. That's what will determine your values. and then you'll find your direction there. If David was not excellent as a shepherd, he would have not made a good king. All right, thank you. Yeah. Questions?
Thank you so much.
Anybody has questions?
Like Israel is not coming on yet. Thank you very much. That was serious. Please, questions so that we don't keep you for too long. And if you have questions, please. Okay, yeah, Bello, please go on. Bello Abdul Yakini, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I really want to appreciate you for this session, sir. But it's just timely. I must say that it's very, very timely because 2 days ago I was very down, like emotionally down, because I was thinking about so many things. And then sometimes we make mistakes, and then concerning my academics and all of that.
Yes.
And then I've actually been so much into this purpose discovering thing for quite some times. So because I'm someone who wants to walk in line with God's will, and then I went to a polytechnic, and then both my ND and my HND I got distinction. I graduated 2022. So ever since then, it has just been like I don't even know what is the next thing exactly that I want to do. So it's just been like, okay, I tried putting in for a top-up program. In fact, the school was just confused the reason why I was not given admission as a distinction student. Yet I was not given an admission. Even people that doesn't have up to what I had, they were given admission. So I was just so very down about the whole stuff, and then just like my life was not moving forward in any aspect. I'm just like feeling in the same space for more than 3 years. So when I saw Prof posting it in the group this afternoon, I just said I have to be there, like I have to attend. And then I must say that I'm very grateful, sir. So, sir, you were saying something before you talked about Moses. You said there are about 3 ways of which someone can actually discover this or our purpose. Because I've read so many books on purpose. I don't lie. I've read several books on purpose. And then just last 3 days ago, I determined I was going to read my Bible from Genesis to Revelation. So I have started from Genesis. But I want to know more about those 3 steps that you said. And I don't know why I feel like I'm not making any significant progress and then just stuck in a particular position for more than 3 years now. So that is my question, sir.
Okay, good question. So I realized that did I even say up to 3 steps? I might have just mentioned it, but anyway, now that you mentioned it. So number 1, I was like saying that what are the things you love to do? What are the things that infuriate you? What problems infuriate you around you? Then the other number 2 is, and this is where a lot of people miss it, is whatever your hand finds to do it well. Because I think it was Paul when he was admonishing, it was like saying that he said slaves, honor your masters, and be diligent. That's not exactly how he said it. He said because you are receiving a kingdom. That's what it means. He said that as you are doing your work, say you are receiving a kingdom. I mean, a good example is Joseph. Was it not in the process of helping people interpret dreams that the person that forgot to remember them said, I forgot this guy. And then before you know it, he became a prime minister, quote and unquote, overnight. So, but he was, so and then he said you are receiving a kingdom because you are diligent, So whatever you are trying to do, you are doing it well. So even as you have graduated distinction, whatever you are doing, whatever you are, and then which means that whatever you have to find to do, you have to do it because work is a channel. If you say God bless me, God is going to ask you through what? And for men, is work. So another thing is that you might need to just detach yourself from your degree and say that, oh, I had distinction, I'm a graduate and stuff like that. And that's another thing that prevents. It's easier said than done. But that's also another thing that prevents a lot of men from seizing opportunities. Just like you might have to detach yourself from degree and say that what opportunities has anybody come to you? Lesson. See, let me tell you, our ways are not his ways. Oh. I said, okay, you are distinction. I said, boy, oh, good now. Mommy, one of my child is preparing for YA. Come on, me teaching. I'm only my friend, 25K, but you think that distinction, me graduate? No, I want to work in tech. I want to. But it's from that. For example, I said yesterday. Do you know I never? You know, the first time I saw Funke Akindele, I was a teenager. I was about to cross the road. I was like 19 or so. I was about to cross the road, and then I just saw her in a vehicle, somewhere in Onike. I don't know what, maybe I was looking, I don't know. She was in one vehicle like that. She too, she wasn't rich, but she was known, at least to those who used to watch that program. And I said, it's not Funke Akindele. And they look at her. I met her for the first time, like really met her yesterday. It's a small one. And let me tell you how I met. How I was able to someone on Facebook who happens to also be my church member. We were just discussing. Now, this is going to link the 2 points I've made earlier together. We're just discussing, and then he was just sharing like his marital challenges, divorce. And so I was not asking him, we're talking. And then he kind of, we both enjoyed that as men, men to men. And then the next thing, he just come and ask, this person needs to write a grant, or this person runs an NGO. So let me write a grant. This is her number. She will call you, but these are numbers. And this lady called me, and so we wrote for her. Now she did not. We wrote for December this thing, but I finished that document. Like I said, whatever your hand finds, we finish. We did a good job. There's a lot of back and forth. So eventually we agreed. I wrote it. Then she now came back to me like 2 weeks ago. I already said alpha because I wanted to chase whether I should go, because the agreement was she will pay me to write, and I also get a percentage if she eventually get it right. So my was following her. I said, Auntie, Happy New Year. We know you from you. And she said, I know the thing did not work. That they blacklisted Nigeria, that they don't want to leave Nigeria grant because there are a lot of fake NGOs and stuff like that. So she didn't work. But she now said that, but meanwhile, I've asked someone who works with Funke Akindele. She wants to write a proposal. She wants to propose like federal government and stuff like that. She needs grants and stuff like that. The person will call you. So I think she now said that either Funke Akindele herself will call you or this other person. And then this staff of Funke Akindele, one of the production people, and I was like, so just like that. Why? So now imagine I did not satisfy this person. I just wrote the grant anyhow. I just wrote it anyhow. Do you understand what I'm saying? Again, it has linked two of my points together. Whatever your hand finds to do it well, because you are receiving a kingdom. Then it links the other point, which I said that, what do you love doing? That could be a clue. God came to meet Moses at the point of him being a shepherd. He was shepherd. He said, that rod in your hand is what I'm going to use to confound this. Fine, he had left the palace, but that's still what, in essence, in a way, took him back to the palace to confront Pharaoh. So what do you love doing? And whatever you love, whatever your hands, you have to find something to do. Anyway, for you, the instruction is find something to do while you're waiting. I don't care how belittling, quote and unquote, it is to your first class degree. I'm telling you. Because let me tell you, let me just say, the most important thing you'll discover as you grow, that the most important, the most fulfilling aspect of your life will not be your salary, the houses you build, or the distance. It will be in you solving problems for people. Let me just tell you. So, for example, someone said that you have distinction. Why am I calling mommy math now? You have to say, come on, teacher. I'll be 50,000. I'll be giving you something. Take that opportunity. I'm telling you. As you are like this, any door that opens, walk through it. Detach yourself mentally from your degree, walk through it, and then from there, you now start discovering your purpose. You now start discovering your purpose. So that's my distance to you. Yeah, that's my answer. So the third one, let me just throw a third one. A third one of fulfilling purpose is a third one of finding your purpose, life destiny. I think it's just two. Whatever you have to do. The other one is not general to everyone, but yeah, that's more of a spiritual, that like you really go, and then God tells you this is what you're supposed to do with your life. But not everybody. But now, because God is gracious, He has made the other two options available for everybody, whether they believe He exists or not. So you don't have an excuse to not say that you did not Yes, I say, wherever you are now, be good, and your path will become clearer and clearer onto the perfect day. That will not lead you to that point and say, aha, this is why I was created. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Success Wachiku, please, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Tokunbo, for this timely discussion. I am very, very happy to be here. I prepared for this thing because I just knew that there was some very recently. I also felt that there was something missing in me. I was like, there is what why am I even here? Like, what is even the point of my existence and all that?
Yes.
All right. So thank you very much for this little eye-opening.
It's my pleasure.
We are grateful.
It's my pleasure.
Then I have about 4 questions because while you were talking, I was just making notes. I was writing, but I'll make it brief.
Awesome. Okay, awesome.
So my first question here is: you made mention about the relationship between the husband and the wife. I'm not married actually, so but I just had to have a little clarity about that, and also maybe for the young ones like me. So you said that the first relationship, that the most important one, is the relationship between the man and the wife first, before the parent-children relationship. So I want you to help us clarify. Are you to make sure that you're not saying that we should put aside the parents-children relationship and then focus on the man and wife relationship? That's the first observation. I want you to clarify your son. Then the second one is now you said something about you having to discover something missing in you before God can tell you. You made mention about something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me clarify these two first, so that I don't my train of thought. I don't lose my train of thought. Okay. So for the first one, what I said is that the relationship between the husband and father, the husband and wife, is the most important, because yes, of course, that's the foundation. That's the foundation of it.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at it, so someone said that how come Satan came to tempt Adam and Eve before they had children? Because that's the foundation. Why he could have waited for them to have, and then go and tempt them or tempt the children. No, he attacked because that's the foundation. It's just as simple as that. And I think I was reading, something just dropped in my mind now, because my spirit was searching for an example, and the Holy Spirit just because the Spirit searched all things. So now look at. I was reading. I think I posted it recently. Let me read it out to you so that you understand the relationship between husbands. And Jesus grew in wisdom, grew in stature and wisdom and stuff like that. So it has to be Luke. It has to be the one from Luke. So you know the story of Jesus. He got lost, and then they went to look for him, and stuff like that. And then stuff like that. And he told them that, don't you know I'll be in my father's house? So what happened here? Just for you to show the power of this thing. And then and everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and answer. So he was anointed. He was everything. They were like, this boy. So when his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, blah 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 blah. Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know that I'll be my father? But did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. That is father and mother. But his mother treasured all this in her heart. And then Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. You can see that it was after he passed that test of obedience to his parents that he now entered another phase in his growth. Both as just as I'm saying, both with man and God.
Yes.
And then of course, the first example, just as I'm saying. So the foundation, and that is why even if you look at it, which part of the family is Satan currently attacking the most? Is marriage. He's not even attacking parenting. It's marriage, divorce. Instead of diluting marriage or promoting divorce, instead of diluting, I said that man and man can marry, woman and woman can marry. He just wants to dilute that because that's the foundation. You understand what I'm saying? Hey, it is from there. And then let me tell you, you can read it statistically. It is said that it is said that children who were raised by both parents are likelier to first do well in academics and generally succeed in life. There are exceptions though, but the general rule is that children who were raised by both parents. And the reason is not because they were raised by both parents. It's because both parents were united. If you look into that research, where you can see that it's because those parents had a functional relationship. I had a practical example where we were just discussing marriage with some of my church members, but this couple are older, quite older than me. They now say that they know a particular family that all this, everything the children need, they'll provide for them. They send them to the best school. The children came out, graduated flying colors and stuff like that. But eventually the children still did not. They ended up like the acrimony in that house was terrible. Even though both father and mother focused on the children, they gave them everything. You know, so that the reason was that the father and mother never agreed on anything. There was no unity between the parents. Even though these children had everything, they sent them to the same best boarding schools, best universities abroad. After they went abroad, he said that, but these children are having issues in their own marriages, despite being raised in the same home. He said, why? Because their parents were never united and they never agreed on anything. Their parents were always fighting. You understand what I'm saying? So, but you can see that even though these children had everything, like you say that anybody that looks at them from outside, they said, all of you, you're all under the same rule. You went to the good school, your father paid your school fees and stuff like that. And even these same children now even neglected the parents because that foundation was not there.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So the most important relationship, let me tell you, if you want to raise good children, if you want to raise that automatically, you have to focus on your spouse and improve the relationship between you and your spouse. A good example is Jacob. You know, Jacob's family was dysfunctional because he first went to marry Leah, and then then Leah and Rachel started fighting. And then, but look at from which family was Joseph sold to slavery? His own siblings sold him to slavery. You can see the dysfunctionality there. Why? Because there was so much infighting between but you can see that between Isaac and Rebecca. In fact, Isaac and Rebecca, they enjoyed themselves so much that the first 20 years, they did not even have a child. It was 20 years later that Isaac now realized that his wife has been barren for 20 years of marriage. Isaac was 40 when he married. We don't know Rebecca's age. They enjoyed themselves so much that it took 20 years for Isaac to realize that, we're supposed to have children. The Bible says that Isaac now prayed for his wife. Then God now opened her womb. So you can see but you can see that his family, there was no until Rebecca, coming from a background of manipulation and deceit, now decided to switch one son, and then that's where the fight started. But you can see that up to that point, the family, there was no drama in that family. Why? Because you can see that not only was Rebecca chosen, they chose, just you can see that succession, because Abraham must have learned something through the issue with Hagar and Sarah. That's why he said that, look, you have to pray. I said that you have to go and you have to go to my kinsmen. There's a reason he said go to my kinsmen, because he had already paid the price. He had already paid the price of sleeping with someone who was not his king. Just what I'm saying, birthing Ishmael and then birthing acrimony in his house. So that's why but you can see that the foundation was solid for between Isaac and Rebecca. And you can see that their hope was united until, of course, the issue of the blessing came, and then but you can see that just what I'm saying. So the foundation matters a lot, and that's why God could have just impregnated Mary without Joseph, but there's a reason. And there's a reason that even Jesus' lineage is adoptive. His lineage to Judah is adoptive. It's Joseph that's from Judah, but it wasn't Judah's sperm that impacted Mary. That's what I'm saying. So you can see that even Jesus had to grow up with two parents. He had to grow up with, just what I'm saying. And that's why he learned obedience. The Bible says he learned obedience by the things he endured, one of which is the one we read now, when he had to submit to them. And then the Bible now says that then he grew in wisdom. He had another quantum leap by passing that test of parenting. He had to fulfill that righteousness. Even Jesus had to fulfill that righteousness. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the other questions,
yes.
there's a link. I think there's a link between the remaining three I wanted to ask. So the first one, you made mention of purpose coming before instruction, then work, and then marriage. So now, what of in a case where maybe the person is about to get married, or the person is intending to marry, and he hasn't understood his purpose yet? Does he put it off, or does he, maybe he's already in courtship, does he have to now cut the courtship short and then start going to look for the purpose before coming back to the woman? Or, you understand? Then it links to how do you know that you are working in your purpose? What are the pointers that you will see and you know that you are actually on the right track? Then this one now further links to Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, it further links to now. You said one can do one thing or stay in one industry and still be happy, as in the case of Funke Akindele. You said she has been in the entertainment industry for a very long time, and it seems like if you take entertainment from her, she will be depressed. So now you said that made me to understand that somebody can be doing one thing for a very long time and still be happy. So does that mean that that person is actually in her purpose, as in the case of Funke Akindele now? So this is the whole thing. I don't know how you can link three of them together to give me an answer.
So the first question you asked. So this thing is not a mathematical formula. Like I must find purpose before I find wife. I mean Jacob is a good example. Despite all that, despite the dysfunctionality, you can see that even Joseph was sent ahead to preserve this same. Just you can see that he was still in that. So this is not because we are humans. I mean, how do you know you have discovered purpose? How do you know when you will discover purpose? How do you know what is even purpose? You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want us to be too mathematical and methodical about it. But just know that whichever way you find yourself in the context of marriage, whether you already know that, oh, I found the flesh of my flesh, in the context of say, okay, it was while I was doing my thing, and I realized that this woman aligns with me. We align with values, because in specifically in the context of marriage, the most important aspect in marriage is chemistry. Because it's bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. When Eve was coming, Eve did not know who Adam was or what he was up to. It was Adam that saw Eve and said that this is the person. And why? Because Adam had already had a need in him. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why you notice that most of the marriages that are considered successful, you see that the husband and wife, they found themselves like doing something similar. They shared similar interests. So don't go too deep and say, hey, I was trying purpose. I mean, if my Adenuga had started Glow before he got married, we would have had Paddy Adenuga. Paddy Adenuga would still be probably in secondary school or something. Just so don't be too. So in the college, so separate that. So to separate, let me just separate marriage from what you have said. Marry your friend is the person that you have been naturally getting along with. Is most likely the person you should marry. You have been naturally getting along with them. You understand what I'm saying? Naturally. You said that you find it easy to gist with this person, and there's no urge for lust and things like that. Yeah, as men, sometimes feelings are, but you can see that it's not based on lust. It's actually based on I gist with this woman. I call her, we laugh, we have the same interest. She likes this, I also like the same thing. She likes it. That's the person you should marry.
Okay.
Because marriage is not a prayer, it's not prayer department, and it's not Bible study. Marriage is friendship. It is not prayer and Bible study that will sustain your marriage, but compatibility. And that's why pastors do divorce. It's pastors divorce. That's why I like Pastor Dolapo Lawal. He said that when he was married, he was not looking for another pastor. He was looking for a friend, someone he could be gisting with, so that when he's at home, he's gisting, they are playing, they are fooling around. You understand what I'm saying? So don't be too methodical and mathematical. I must find purpose first. I must find because God changes assignments. God changes assignments now. You don't know it. God can change your assignment. Say, okay, I've done this one. Now I'm moving you up to the next. Moses' first assignment was to be a prince. After that, God said, now you have grown. But the next assignment is now for you to now use your princely training to lead slaves out of Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? So why are you going to say? So I'm not going to divorce that one and say that God, just I'm saying. So that's why you have to marry your friend, so that as a man, as God is moving you from glory to glory, you already have someone that is already with you. Both of you are compatible. The person is as interested in your life as God is as you are interested in your life. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So marry your friend. So the second question, you were like, you said, Funke Agidele, that what if you take out of what was that question again?
Yes, it was about like being in one thing and still be happy doing one thing for a very long period of time, because I usually I'm majorly in the engineering world, electrical engineering, and it has been what I've known for a very long time. Although I'm making slow progress, but it has been like the only thing I know in this life now is about electricals, and I'm like, is there not something else that I can do? Is there not something else that I can, put my mind into, like develop something else? So I'm not trying to say, is it bad or is it wrong for me to be unsatisfied being in that kind of thing? Because Funke Adegele was in the entertainment. From what you observed, she was in the entertainment industry for years and she was still comfortable. So can I be comfortable like that in my own case, or me being unsatisfied, or me trying to look for something else is me being maybe walking out of what I'm supposed to do? Or you understand?
So yeah, good question. So this, again, don't be too mathematical or methodical about it. Again, it goes back to the examples I cited.
Yes.
Purpose starts from a seed. David's seed to be Israel's greatest king today was that he was first a shepherd. But a king is a shepherd too.
Yes.
Moses' seed to be both the law and prophets. His seed was that he had to be a prince first. But the law is royalty, because God's commandments is coming from God. And first of all, he had to also be a shepherd, like literal shepherd, so that he could shepherd 3 million people out of Egypt. I see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Paul's seed that God used, because God will always say that what you have in your hand. Paul's seed that God used, first he was a Pharisee, because he had to be excellent in the law, in the knowledge of the law. Then he was also a lawyer. So his seed was that he had to first be a lawyer, because like Paul said, he said that unto the Jews was a gospel giving, because it had to take the Jews. It had to take Jews to explain revelation to Gentiles. So God and Paul, like Paul had said, he said that I was the highest sect of Pharisee. That's those ones. If you went to meet a sect, that's what I'm saying. If you went to meet a sect and say that I have this question concerning the law, that was they were the final authority. Anything they told you, they were the best. Paul came from that sect. And that's why he was one that could work more than them all, according to him, in reaching the Gentiles. Because the Gentiles didn't know anything about the law. They didn't know anything about sacrifice, offering, tithe, and they didn't know that. So it had to be the best of the best. So that any questions they gave, Paul could match it. And if they came from the intellectual angle, maybe they were atheists or they were philosophers, they were academics, Paul could also meet them there. You can see where I'm going. But for years, he was first a Pharisee. You can see that's it. So whatever you are doing now, whatever you'll still be doing 10, 20 years from now, will still be a magnification of that thing. It will still be related. I'll give you an example. I said I used to really, for some reason, I used to really write reading. I didn't know that God was using to like develop my verbal reasoning and my vocabulary. But I also didn't mention, I also like to draw as a kid. What am I doing now? I'm writing, building websites, building this, building that, which are still related to writing and graphic design in a way. So, but you can see that it comes from just drawing book to wherever we are today, because all this, the so-called tech whatever, is still related to writing. Because you write code, you are still writing. Do you understand what I'm saying? The whole tech that everybody is shouting now, is still. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can see that. So you can see that it will not be far from what you started with. That thing that will make you a Micah a failure to the life, it will not be far from that thing that you started. If you analyze your life very well, you can see that there was a seed that was in you as a child that God magnified and it grew to. So it's always going from glory to glory, but it will be from that seed. What do you have in your hand right now? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir.
Now, so your question is pregnant, because there's another. It says dissatisfaction. Now, another thing about dissatisfaction, and this is for men, this is very important for men. Dissatisfaction is a signal that there's something coming that you need to be prepared for. Whenever you said that your hand was heavy upon us, let me look for that thing. Your hand was heavy upon us. Let me read that. Sam, for day and night. Sorry, hold on. I want to read 32, Psalm 32, 1. This is how you know. Anyway, let me not go there. Anyway, dissatisfaction is proof that you need to grow in certain areas. You need to do something. That something is coming that you need to be prepared for. So that's why sometimes you reach that marginal utility, even in your career. You're excited, and after a while, it means that you are outgrowing something ahead. That's what you're outgrowing a particular area of that thing you are doing, or you have outgrowing the whole thing altogether. Or it could mean that there's something coming. Now, if you're a believer, there's something coming and God is alerting you to it. That you need to align. There's something coming. There's a shift coming. Yes, I'm saying. But generally, that dissatisfaction shows that you have outgrown something. It's that you have outgrown that thing, and then you need to try. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to maybe earn higher or anything. It just means that you need to either do something different or do what you are doing differently. So there has to be that unsettling in the space. So you have to do something to, so that's what that means. But like I said, but generally the answer to your question overall is that however you're going to end up 20-30 years, it will not be far. It will be linked to what you already do, because there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. But it will be linked to something. It will be linked to something that you already know how to do, or something that you have the potential to do, or it will be linked to an opportunity that is already around you. Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Before we take the last question from Olusegun Musiade, I think Success was insinuating that Funke Akindele has been in our field, and she seems comfortable and everything. Well, I mean, I've been following Funke Akindele since 2015 or so, since Jennifer's Diary. Like I've been following all the episodes, and I've seen that you can't say she's not complacent. She keeps evolving, she keeps getting better. So at some point, exactly. So in fact, right now she's into real estate. I mean,
exactly.
She was the first person to have $1 billion, whatever, $1 billion, $1 billion naira turnover. What is that thing called in the cinema? So this last movie she gone for 2 billion naira, and she had achieved that. So she's this person who keeps getting better. So I don't think she's comfortable because she's highlighting that aspect of her life. Yes.
Exactly. But again, sorry to cut you off short, Paul. You can see that, but it's all came from her acting. You can see that it's all linked to because the whole real estate thing is because she was used as a brand, being a celebrity in the entertainment industry. She was used as a brand ambassador. I think the first free house. Yes, now I think the first free house she goes, quote and unquote, is MNSA, where she lives.
Yes, that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
That's
Yes.
but it came from our antecedents so they use so it's still that accent. You can see that it's still linked to
Yes, I'm
it's going
actually
to divulge. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
actually addressing successes, thinking that Funke seems
yes.
comfortable in what she's doing.
No,
But
no, no,
for
she's
me,
not at
I
all.
don't see a complacent person. I see somebody who keeps pushing herself, even within the acting and everything. She keeps evolving.
Yeah.
She's almost restless. Once a project is done, it's like there's already another one waiting, and she just keeps getting
She's not
better
almost
like
restless.
that.
She's restless.
Exactly.
She's restless. I saw her. Yesterday, she
Yes.
came in sweating and she was just saying so many things at the same time. But I like to say this.
Imagine.
We have to do this. We have to.
And she
So you can see
enjoys
that
it.
this are. Yeah, hey, so that was the point I was
Yeah.
telling you. You can see that she enjoys it. So no matter the
Yeah.
challenge you throw at her, you can write whatever you like. You can criticize
Mm,
her because she has found her place. So every
yes.
challenge is exciting to her because she has
Yes.
found her place. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Olusegun,
Yes,
over
sir.
to you. And that'll be the last question for today.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Tokunbo. Mr. Tokunbo, I'm
Yeah.
sure you know who is talking to you.
Yes, I know. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you. Fine, thank you very much. Thank you for your lecture. The
Yes.
first question I want to ask, you were talking in relation of purpose to marriage, and
Yes,
at
please.
least with the little understanding I have about the Bible, I as in Eve was created to be Adam's helpmeet, but
Yes,
Adam
please.
was, will I say, a gardener who got told to take care of the garden and the rest. But
Yes, please.
I want to see where like the helpmeet came from, and because Adam too, before Eve was created, he named all the
Yeah.
animals in which we have today.
Yeah.
But I did
Yes.
one thing I didn't really see about the Bible is where the helpmeet came, where as in the functionality of Eve being an helpmeet came into play
Yeah.
within Genesis chapter 1 and
Yeah.
chapter 2. Because the next thing the Bible
Yeah.
just records after Eve was created and after they had the marriage,
Yes.
it was the what do you call it? The
Temptation.
disobedience of Adam and Eve eating the forbidden fruits.
Yeah.
That's my first question. Where did the
Yes.
functionality come from? Because it relates to the second question. For example,
Yeah.
if I don't want to use Funke Akindele as related to acting now, but if let's say
Yeah.
my purpose was to
Yes.
teach anything, I
Yes.
don't know, the word of God, the Bible, or teach as a
Yes.
teacher, where if I had a wife, as you know, I'm not married. If I had a wife,
Yes.
where would the functionality of the woman I want to get married to, how would she help me in such purpose? I don't know if you understand my
Yes.
question.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
how would she help me to
I'll
function in that purpose? That's all. Thank you very much.
I'll answer your question. You know what I would do? You know what? Okay, so to answer your first question, you said where we now, first of all, the some scholars have said that the gap in years between when Eve was created and the fall could have been up to 1,000 years. You understand what I'm saying? Some scholars have said that. So in between that place, only Adam can tell us that this is exactly where she was a helpmate.
Yes, it's the same thing with
But
the creation. Some people say, oh, it's 1,000 years from the second day, 1,000 years from the third day. I'm sure we've all heard something like that before.
don't worry, say don't argue all that. That's what called endless genealogies. It's not how important is that. How of what's important is to me that between two how important. I just know that there's a first day and second day. But this one that you have raised is actually a very good question. Because the truth is that there's a tendency, if you don't get answers, there's a tendency for the enemy to use that to tempt you and say that, so of what use is really these women beyond, but their use is beyond that. I'll give you an example. Now, when I married my wife, I can't say I had found purpose. That's the truth. But I remember in 2019, when which was why I had said it earlier, that the most important thing is the most important thing is that what we see from Adam was that he named her. He hadn't even known her. He hadn't lived with her. But as God showed her, he just said that this one is my wife. Because it came from his basic instinct. See, there's something about each and every one of us. There are so many aspects of our lives that will not come out until we face particular situations. You know what I'm saying? When you see, I say, this person is my wife, there was something in your subconscious that attracted you to that person. It could either be something that is, right, quote and unquote, or something about you that needs to be corrected, and it is your relationship with that person that will correct it. You understand what I'm saying? So
yes, I do.
You understand what I'm saying? So it could be so that's why I will use this I will quote this verse in Ecclesiastes. It said that when the wrath of the king is against you, he said that don't be in a hurry to leave. You know what the Bible was just saying, that adversity you are facing is correcting something in you. You understand what I'm saying? That's why God told Paul, and this could be for marriage, this could be for business or anything. When Paul cried to God, they said that this thorn in my flesh, that a messenger of Satan was sent to me. God said that I'm not going to remove this thorn, because in my weakness, in your weakness is my strength made perfect. In the case of Adam, there's no way we could have known, because they lived. There's no detail for that. But I said that it was within 1,000. But there was something Adam saw. Even though it was not in his fallen state, so it could have been something, because it was not Adam hadn't sinned, so it could have been Adam was perfect as at that point. But there was something he saw that said that this woman, even though he hasn't lived with her, I said that this woman is my wife. So whether you are choosing right or you are choosing wrongly because you have not found purpose, there's still something about you that has made that person the right fit for you. Whether God wants to use that person to correct you. That's why they'll tell you. That's why, for example, in the case of divorce, pastors don't like it, because let me tell you, except maybe there's physical violence involved, or in the case of adultery, under God, there's really no other reason to, in the case of adultery, or the person abandoned, doesn't just disappear. Those are the only three reasons, and they can now say that this person is nowhere to be found. I think there's a particular pastor in Nigeria, a popular pastor, that had that issue. The wife just left, and for years the man was alone for years, until he now had to go and remarry. And then the church where he was like, say, you are not officially divorced. So he had to leave that church and then start his own ministry. A lot of people will know, probably someone like Prof will know this person I'm talking about. So except those cases, because the truth is that so the truth is that we cannot, only Adam can be tell us that this is exactly where you will. But what I'm trying to say, the example I wanted to give. So when I wanted to resign 2019, I was lost. That's what I'm telling you, that see, marriage is spiritual. I don't care whether you just took your vows casually and there were just two people there, but that you said that this person is my wife, and you people exchanged vows before witnesses. Angels were there. It was sealed spiritually. This day I knew that marriage is spiritual. So 2019, when I was going through a lot between 2017 and 2019 in my career, I was just stagnant. The way one person here said that they were feeling empty, and then there was just this, I wasn't making progress in my career, and then there was just this man in the office, one of my bosses, that was just against me. So the debate was very toxic. So at the point, it got to a point that I had the nudging to resign. So, but then I'd made up my mind to resign. But then I was like, so I mean, as a man, you can't just resign like that. What are you going to do? You are the husband, you are the provider, and stuff like that. What's your wife going to feel about it? So I told my wife. But at the point of telling her, I was my spirit was down. I was confused. I was anxious. That was the future like. So I now told my wife. I said, look, I'm about to resign. And she now said, so I resign now. God will provide another. Do you know, as she said it, the peace that passes all understanding just flooded me. And I had peace. And I'm telling you, as I had this peace, I had less than 30K in my account. And I was owing both bank and my officer, I took loans. As she said it like this, I just had that peace. That the anxiety and the worry just disappeared. The following day, I dropped my resignation. As I dropped my resignation like this, that afternoon, someone just called me, bam, and said that no. As I dropped my resignation like this, the amount of jobs I started getting, because then I had already started writing CVs, almost like tripled. As I dropped my resignation, so because you have to give 1 month notice. My last day, someone just called me. I said, bros, he just said, folks, Alpha, where are you? There's an opportunity. Do you want to work on an oil rig? And it's just something that you can use to, for the meantime, and then you can use to this. I said, bro, do you know that today is my last day in this place? But eventually, I didn't take that opportunity. But those were the signals I got that yes, I've taken it. But the most important thing is that as my wife said, yes, now why don't? As she agreed with me, that peace just came, and yes, resign, and I just resigned. That anxiety. So I'm just saying. To answer your helpmate, that helpmate, you remember that the word helpmate is the same word God uses for Holy Spirit. How do you know? So your wife is more of a spiritual help than she's a physical help. This thing is a mystery. So you can have a wife that can say that we're not even aligned. We're not this. We're not this. But there's something about that marriage that God wants to use to build something in you. Because Jesus does not only. I don't want to go too deep because I don't know whether we're all Christian, but anyway, God does not only baptize us with the Holy Spirit, he also baptizes us with fire. We are okay with that Holy Spirit. We're not okay with the fire, and sometimes that fire will come in the marriage. That there will be some kind of friction in because even the best marriages have friction. Some of us that are married will know. Okay, so fire purpose, but God will use your partner to baptize you with fire. In fact, your first test, your first teacher is the person you are married to. Whether you're married in purpose or out of purpose, but there's still something. That's why God said, I hate divorce. And that's why he likened divorce to hardening of heart. He said, for your hardening of heart, that's why Moses allowed it. And he said, okay, give yourself certificates. There's hardening of heart. That means you don't have to take certain corrections. Do you know this thing for marriage is the Sanskrit word? Sanskrit is an ancient language. The Sanskrit word for marriage, for wife, is adversary. Think about that for a second. The Sanskrit word, the translation, is the same word that is used for adversary. Because as a man, your wife will. That's why you know that naturally women wives just like to oppose. They'll first, even though you don't know what, they'll first oppose it first. Then you now have to now explain. Then I say, hey, okay, yes, I agree with you. They just want to oppose. Imagine God gave instruction, don't touch this tree. Eve went to touch the tree. You understand what I'm saying? Because it is learning to live in that condition that you build character as a man. That's where I'm going. The beneficial adversary, exactly. So anyway, see, it is in learning with living with your wife as a man, that you will build character. That is the help. That's actually the help needs. Every other thing a wife does, we can outsource it now. Is it cooking? You can get a cook. Is it sweeping the floor? You can get a cook. I mean, if your conscience is if your conscience is not ruled by the Holy Spirit, you can even outsource childbearing. You can. I mean by like say you can somewhere else. I mean you can even be having sex outside. That's what I mean. You can outsource that one as well. So all those ones because I don't know why I'm doing Bible. I'm sorry. I'm so much into my relationship.
Feel very free. Like we are very open. So even those who are not
so
Christian, they can always they can internal own way.
But anyway, the things you can bank on are the things that cannot be outsourced. So that's why as a man you have to ask yourself, what's the role of a wife in my life? If someone else can cook, if I'm not into all that, I can have sex with someone else. If someone else can wash, if someone else can even if I can sound ideas off someone else, then who is a wife? I think it's until a man answers that question. That's where you now know the true meaning of helpmates. So, but like I said, I've given examples in my own case where as brilliant as I thought I was anxious. I was afraid of the future. And I knew somehow I had to resign. It had come to that point. And it wasn't until I told my wife, and my wife said, yes, you can resign. Don't worry. God will figure it out. That I had that peace. And I had the boldness. The boldness I had to resign was the boldness of the same boldness of someone that has gotten a better job elsewhere, even though I hadn't gotten a job. I resigned without getting a job, just relying solely on my business. And there were bills to be paid. But that peace came. It was that day I knew that marriage is spiritual. So that should answer your question. So yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I just want to ask Mr. Emmanuel that is there a recording to this class we've had today?
Yes, there's a recording, and it will be since you registered. So I'm going once it's uploaded on our YouTube channel, I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
I'm going to send it to everybody who registered. Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Wow. Can we clap, e-clap, digital hailing, everything for Mr. Tokunbo Akintola for his powerful session. Like, I was just having a nice time listening. Like, all of us as followers, we are plenty on Facebook. Once in a while we get to talk. Sometimes we don't talk. But there's hardly anything you post we don't see. How you pepper the feminazis and everything. We see all of it, you know. So, and
thank you.
And the reason why why this kind of forum is important is that I've seen a lot that some people, all they need is just maybe the healing some people need is just this session today, right now. I can already,
exactly.
I mean, somebody like Bello was like, wow, this is so timely and everything, and all the instructions that have come. So we have just 4 minutes to go and want to keep to that time. So Israel has given me permission to help him finish up because he's somewhere that is really very noisy. So that's why he's not coming up right now. Yeah. So in spite of the fact that we came up with the topic and everything, one solid thing I saw is the flow from, you know, knowing yourself, and then that will lead to the kind of values you embrace, and finally that gives you direction. So I mean, for me, that really stood out. That okay, you know yourself, you have your identity dictates your values, and your values now gives you the direction. I think that was very powerful. And then you talked about detachment. In fact, I've preached this for the longest. You know, before we started RBF, there's this particular I don't know, it's hard for me to call people mentee and all these things, but there's this particular guy, one of my guys like that. He was always complaining that, oh, my mommy said this, my mommy said that, they are doing this. I'm like, hey, you know what? Start making your own money, even if it is just 5 naira, 10 naira. Start making it. And true to it, he started out, and I'm like, anytime you're going home, as far as you're still living with your parents, when you're going home, buy bread or buy something. After some time, the mother started respecting him, like, a lot of hailings and everything. And right now, the guy is so, like, any step he wants to take, he'll just come in that, hey, any new girl he sees is like, sir, I found one girl, Alpha. How do you think we should do it? Like, because his fingers got burnt in the past when he felt he could do it on his own. So I think that independence. So I tell young men that one of the things you can do for yourself is, even if if you have a very good, if you have good parents, they are rich and everything, nice. But one thing you want to quickly do is get independent as fast as possible. Some of us, I know your story, and somebody like me too, we had to be independent by force because there was nothing to fall back on. You just had to stand on your own. So for those who have good parents and you have money and all that, that is still not an excuse. You want to quickly get on your feet as fast as possible because there's a lot. You have a lot of, especially marriage, right? You don't want to be married and your parents are still controlling your family and things like that. You want to be able to convince them that, oh, you have come of age and you can handle this. So that really stood out, that detachment thing. Then the idea of flexibility, like when I came back, I did PhD. I finished 2020. I returned to Nigeria for 26 months. My family was there all the while. When I was coming back, I had no job. Guess what? I had to lay bets in a hotel, and that's talking about the flexibility thing. So, and that was for a temporary time, right? Because I didn't have to come back to family because I'd been away for too long. So I think this is for the person I was talking about, not having degrees and not having degrees and not knowing what to do with it. So just like you said, you need to find anything you can do to engage yourself and make money. That is your pathway. I mean, one thing I tell people is when you are suffering, you need to have an escape plan. So as you are doing those things you don't really like, you know, ultimately, as I was laying in bed, one day my professor, I was in the lab working for free. The same lab I'm in right now, I was working for free because I applied for a funding that didn't come. And then my wife was like, hey, you don't have to do this. And I'm like, no, if this is what you were doing when I was away during COVID and you're alone with 2 kids working, schooling, I'm going to do the same thing. So I could have said, oh, I have a PhD and why should I be doing this? So I did that job for like 3 or 4 or 5 months. And one day my professor just came and was like, oh, there are 3 openings in this lab. And since you're already on ground, just tell me yes or no if you're interested. I'm like, I've been coming to work for free. You're not asking me to work for free. So it is in the process of these things that you can find out, you now get the real opportunity. But if you sit down and wait, and this is another thing content creation has taught me too. When I started, I didn't even know how to start. But after the first video, you get an idea of how to do it better and you keep evolving until it goes. But if you don't start, you won't even see anything. So thank you so much for this powerful session today. We really wish we can pay you, but our God will pay you. And, you know, thankfully, we have you in our community. When we get to that point where we can really pay, we won't forget people that started with us. We are very grateful for this session. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless your Talism. Everything in all your endeavors. God bless you indeed. I put your, so in case you want to follow him on social media, maybe you came in later. Let me see if I can pull up that. This is Facebook. I'll just repost it in the chat. So feel free. I mean, there's a lot to learn, especially as a man, because these days, I mean, what my motivation for this whole boys thing is, right from footer, right? I saw even fellowship leaders, they are always, everybody was talking about my daughter. I'm like, who is going to take care of the sons? So whatever they were doing for the girls, so I'll now take boys out and ask them about their family and everything. And from there, a lot of people got it. So I felt, you know, as you're preparing the girls and the boys are not prepared, you're going to have problem at the end of the day. I think one thing that also stood out is the devil doesn't care about who is in Aso Rock. He just cares that the families don't get it right, so that you can always have crazy people. And once you have crazy people in society, you know, at the end of the day, you have crazy people leading. Exactly. And that's why when I see somebody trying to make a wrong marriage choice, I'm like, hey, guy, you don't add to the problem of the world, especially those who get to listen. So once more, thank you very, 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 very much. We are 2 minutes ahead. I mean, 2 minutes into it, so into extra time. So I think we want to stop at this point. So if you're not in RBF and you want to join us, it's basically for people aged 18 to 40. That's our focus. But then people who are older than 40 are also in the group, and they also they serve as our mentors, like Mr. Tokunbo is helping out. We also have people like Olushola. We have people like Salsa. There are lots of people like that. We have professors. We have marriage counselors. We have all these people in the house who, once in a while, they also contribute to our talks. On a daily basis, we have talks like that. I don't know if one of our leaders is here to just help post the link to the WhatsApp group before we round off. Let me see, or maybe I'll send it later so that I don't keep us waiting. So I'll send it in the mail for people who registered. So at this point, we say thank you. Can you use your emojis, whatever you can find, to appreciate our speaker, our mentor? Thank you very, very much. God will reward you beyond what you can imagine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
You've taken so much of your time. We're sorry for that. Thank you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't. I enjoyed it, man. I didn't even know. I didn't even know I enjoyed it so much.
When it was getting to like 1.5 hours, I was already. I wanted to even stop it so that we could just continue the conversation.
I know.
I felt you had settled in. I'm like, okay, fine. Thank you so much. Everybody is saying thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So we continue in the group for those of us in the group, and for those who are not yet in the group, you are going to see email with the link of this recording and everything. Thank you so much. See you. So in February we have another one. I forgot what the topic is, but I wish Israel was there. Would have told us is our programs lead. So we do this every month, and we have discussions daily on different topics, talking about academics, career, finance, fitness, leadership, marriage, parenting, personal development, relationships, and spirituality. So I believe that if you can cover all these aspects, we can raise the total man, and that's our mandate. Once more, God bless you, our speaker. God bless you, every participant. See you whenever we can see. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Sure. All right. Bye, everybody.